the dad.
Yeah.
And what is he, a drug dealer?
Cop. Retracted.
I wouldn't really want like a spinoff of any of these characters personally.
Not even Ben Reilly?
Definitely not. That's probably my least favorite one in the movie. Welcome back to Cape Critiquers, everybody. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and leave a like underneath this video because it really helps with how it performs in YouTube's algorithm. Today we are doing the ultimate Spider-Verse Redux review, as well as talking about the Spider-Within short film that they put out somewhat recently.
First up in the news for the MCU, Charlie Cox confirmed TV line that Daredevil Born Again will be 9 episodes long, set for March 2025.
Yeah, apparently like a first look trailer was premiered at that Upfront event, the Disney Upfront event.
Yeah, that's less than a year away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Goes by fast.
And since, I guess, the restructuring, it was supposed to be 18 episodes. So.
Yeah, I think they just totally restructured the Marvel TV stuff.
Everything. You guys were just talking about Agatha the other day, and a whole bunch of stuff like day after drop about that show as well. And I think you guys were pretty spot on with what you were talking about with the episode names and such like that. And I'm getting excited. I think they're actually getting their stuff together.
Yeah.
And they're going to come out with some good TV that's hopefully going to be relevant going forward. You know, maybe somebody's taking the reins and saying, look, we got to do this.
Brian
Winderbaum.
Yeah. I don't know exactly what his role is, but he's like one of the top guys over there at Marvel. And he was saying how the way that they've restructured Marvel or MCU television, I guess, is you can now watch one thing without necessarily having to watch another in order to get it. Like, it's not how it was where if you don't watch Hawkeye, like, you're going to miss this one scene where you'll not know a single thing that's happening in Daredevil. Everything's officially split into Marvel Studios, Marvel Television, and Marvel Animation.
And Spotlight.
Yeah, Spotlight, I think, is something that'll kind of pop up, here and there. But it is, I guess, to me, what Marvel Spotlight feels like is, like, it could kind of be, like, a sub-category within any of the three, the big three there. But
is Marvel Special part of that?
Marvel Spotlight is Marvel Special.
Yeah, because I feel like Werewolf by Night would be that.
Yeah.
And did I read that Disney's now it's starting to make money on the TV stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, just like Disney Plus is finally profitable.
Yeah, which is, hopefully.
I mean,
keep the
Bob
synergy
Iger
going.
pretty much said that like it would take till 2024.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. For as much shit as they get, like, pretty sure they like understand that. Like what their investment's going to look like, in the long term.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but it's funny. They've restructured and had, the hierarchy of, you could pay more and not have advertising, and everybody else followed suit, So you had to know that everybody was having issues with it, but it's the way the platforms are going.
Yeah.
I mean, who watches live TV anymore, really?
One last thing I wanted to highlight about the Marvel, I guess, entertainment stuff splitting into studios, television, animation. It's like, it's weird to think that it wasn't like this before, but now, there's going to be someone in charge of these separate divisions, and they are separate divisions now, and enough attention can kind of get focused onto each one of them without, trying to get this like lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, which was killing the brand. It really was.
I mean, it worked for however long it worked, but then I guess, you run out of magic at some point, and it's kind of what Phase 4 felt like to me.
Yeah, but do you think that there's still superhero saturation? Do you think that's a thing?
I don't
or do
think
you
it's
think
a
that
thing.
it was just that it was so much crap that people were just being turned away?
And not even to just like, I know it is superhero saturation because that's like what we're talking about, but you could put it, anything. Could be drama saturation, could be this, that, and the other thing. But if the content is good, I don't think it matters.
Yeah, I think that people will come back and once word gets out that this is actually interesting and there's a storyline and it's not just silly, which is what's been happening.
Like even, Jack and I just had our big discussion about X-Men 97. Regardless what we thought on it ultimately, like a team that was solely dedicated to that, with a showrunner, created something that has just completely blown up and made people really start tuning in and getting excited about Marvel again.
Well, people are watching that show. I haven't watched it. I keep asking, should I watch it? Maybe I'll take a try,
you know,
Yeah.
solid X-Men content.
Yeah, I haven't watched one bit of it, but I've been reading a lot
Animation's
about it.
really, really great.
And that's what I hear. The animation's really good, and people are really excited about the storylines. There's always something new now coming out of it, so
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'll take a try.
Yeah.
So they cast Ralph Ineson as Galactus.
As Galactus, yeah.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
I just feel like it's a bit
Galactus.
weird that like they confirmed Galactus and Silver Surfer
Yeah.
for like the villain, I guess.
Mhm.
Yeah, but then again, like, we also knew, like, who Kang was and that he was showing up in Quantumania
I guess.
forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he was already in Loki at that point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Or no, he wasn't.
No,
They-
because
they, yeah, they revealed him after.
Yeah.
But even Silver Surfer, though, doesn't Silver Surfer sort of flip-flop and sort of become, friend as well,
Mhm.
not
Well,
just
yeah.
foe?
In the comics, he gets like fucking trapped on Earth for like 40 years.
Mhm.
Yeah. I don't ever think he's, like, necessarily good or bad. He kind of just does,
Mhm.
whatever he has to.
Also in Fantastic Four is John Malkovich in an
Yeah.
unreleased
And
role.
another big actor. We have no idea what they're going to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess while we're at it, Natasha Lyonne was
Mhm.
also just cast.
Yeah.
I've been seeing people say that this is like kind of like when Oppenheimer was getting casted, and like you
Mhm.
would just see like, oh, this person's in the cast, and also this person.
Yeah.
It's like Marvel's Oppenheimer. Just
I
full.
wonder like if this is just like blowing up the budget or if it's like people just want to be in Fantastic Four.
I don't know. I have no idea like what to even make of this, because I feel like for so long like there was this select group of like actors that were like, I would never dare star in a superhero film.
And you even had, I guess, different directors who did different type of films that were bad-mouthing
Mhm.
those types of films, even though they're becoming to be the largest films of the decade of the, what have you.
Yeah.
And directors are bad-mouthing it, and then they have actors doing the same thing. It's all the same thing. It's an art. It's a different
yeah,
art
like,
form.
I've never understood,
Mhm.
the like
It's just-
snooty,
yeah.
like even like Florence Pugh is like an incredible actor.
Yes, she
and,
is.
She's Yelena in the
Mhm.
MCU.
I mean, like fucking Benedict Cumberbatch is
Yeah,
one
Benedict
of the
Cumberbatch.
greatest
Exactly.
actor in them.
One of the
Yeah,
greatest
in the
actors of
movies.
our
Yeah.
time, and look what he's done.
Yeah.
And he brought himself to it, and I think he made a great character.
He's
Mhm.
kind of like Hugh Jackman, where he does like National Theater
Yeah.
shit.
Mhm.
So, but I saw a meme.
Even Hugh Jackman. For God's
yeah,
sakes. I mean, he's done some great stuff.
but
you
I
know.
saw a meme
Yeah.
where it's like
Mhm.
last year everybody was like, "Yay, fucking big movies are finally dying,
Yeah.
and real movies can finally get made."
Mhm.
And now everyone's this year's like, "Oh wow, I like realized that like those movies are what support the other movies."
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. On to DCU news. Mark Strong has a role in the Penguin.
know the name Mark Strong. I would have to see a
He's
picture
the
of him.
villain from Shazam
For
1.
the first
He's
one.
in the post credits of both.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh my God! Yeah.
okay. I guess that kind of makes sense.
So
That
weird though.
Mhm.
recast him into something. And
I mean, yeah, he was like probably one of the saving graces of the first one.
well, I mean, he's not gonna be in like the DCU. It's just,
First official look at David Cornsman's Superman has been revealed.
Yep.
yeah.
I
You
think
saw it.
that's- Yeah, I did.
What do you think
Um,
of it? The suit.
I fucking hate it, but I just
Really?
want to say
You really hate
in the
it?
background you can see Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, can you really? I didn't notice that. Where?
He's like fighting the
Yeah.
it's like
You don't
energy
like
battle.
I kind of like
Okay, first of all, if you look at his wrists, it's fucking like thick, It's like a fucking deck of cards thick. Like
it. It's got to be
Where's
bulletproof.
Green Lantern? Is
I
that
mean-
green supposed to be Green Lantern?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did you see his wrists?
Yeah, I did.
But like look at that. It's like fucking like a hose, Like his suit is not supposed to be bulletproof without him.
I know
don't
that.
think. Or unless it's like some shit from like
Superman naked is bulletproof.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I
Also, I just don't like the random lines and everything.
I guess I see what you're saying as far as the the weird looking wrist go, but I personally do like the like mock neck or whatever.
The whole thing to me though looked a little AI, just like some make me a
I
Superman
mean, apparently it was all
with
in
this suit.
camera,
Yeah, all in cameras with
Yeah.
this.
which
I
I
don't
feel like that was just like the like volume screen technology in the
Maybe.
background.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I feel like you use like AI isn't really used that much yet.
I think we'll have to see it in the movie to really gauge.
I mean, I'm just saying like with this picture, it just looks like boxy,
Well, remember a lot of people really hated the Robert Pattinson Batman suit when the pictures of that first came out.
I mean, I feel like I'm not the biggest fan of that one.
I think it's fine. I just don't think it's like the worst suit ever. So
I feel like the best suit is probably first Superman movie.
Oh,
or
yeah. definitely.
Yeah, the one who got
Christopher
paralyzed.
Reeves.
Yeah.
Christopher Reeve.
Yeah. I don't know. I just fucking hate the random lines on this one. Yeah. Zack Snyder's like second or third one was pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Verse writers Phil Lord, Christopher Miller, and Dave Callahan will be heading the Sonyverse.
And that gives them a little more cred. You know, I mean, somebody's going to actually, who is made some incredible movies, is going to be behind and in charge of all this stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what they need, a good shot in the arm like that.
Yeah.
You know, as much as I say sell to Disney and what have you, if they could pull it together, you know, they make some incredible films.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I saw, because people are going to complain about
Mhm.
everything. Immediately, people were just like, those poor VFX artists, they're going to get overworked to death. It's just like,
But that's what they do for a living.
I know, but like, it's just like people can never be satisfied.
I'd be happy to have the work if that's what I did for a living. You know, you got into it because you loved it, I'm assuming.
Mhm.
I mean,
Not just for the
half
money.
the fucking like production for
Mhm.
Spider-Verse like quit on the second one. So like I don't know if you'd love it.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not
It's got to be scheduling then, you know?
I mean, I think like VFX is like I mean, not to even like bring it up, it's just like VFX is like the fucking like sweatshops of like movies at this point.
Yeah.
So,
I don't know. Content-wise, though, I think this could be a very good step in the right direction.
Mhm. Do you know what other like movies they made before Spider-Verse?
I know the one that is right before Spider-Verse is the Lego Batman movie.
Oh, I didn't even know that one, but I mean that is crazy though, because that's like
Mhm.
pretty big in
Yeah.
fan culture. Or
Yeah.
whatever. But they did Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Now that
and
you said
Rise of the Guardians.
Two solid movies. Rise of the Guardians was one of your favorites. And still, a movie that I see, and every time it's on, I get sucked into it. It's just a great story, and it just flows very well,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Yeah, I mean, these guys seem to just have it, and they're
Mhm.
incredibly stylized as
Yeah.
far as their movies go.
Great
so.
animation, great storyline, and it's just good stuff.
Yeah.
So let's just hope they can keep it rolling.
Speaking of that Lego Batman movie that they did, I think it is, they had one with that, and then the perfect like evolutionary step brings us right into the Spider-Verse from 2018.
Well, the way the storyline went along in this movie, I mean, so it opens up with Spider-Man that we traditionally know. And I thought that was pretty good, but it breaks down the fourth wall and is talking to the audience about it, but sort of in like a reminder way, because we all know the story.
Yeah.
But then it quickly goes into Miles doing his artwork on his computer with his music and everything else, and
Not
then
to
he's
cut
called
you
off
off,
to
but
school.
I think something that both of these movies, and maybe the second one a little bit more,
Mhm.
but both these movies do so well, is taking the same old tired story about
Mhm.
Spider-Man that we already know and just like completely flipping it on its head
100%.
in a new way
Mhm.
that it just makes it entertaining and fresh, like all over again.
And then the animation is a whole other level to that.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's a believable animation, but it also adds an element of emotion to it as well.
yeah, this first
That
one
works.
has such like a grounded, almost like
Mhm.
graffiti style to the whole
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
which is kind of like it's just like Miles.
It was just to say,
Style.
so it's almost seeing the world through Miles' eyes.
Yeah.
Because he's a graffiti artist, but it's
Mhm.
emphasis on the artist because it's pretty strong.
Yeah, I really love the scene where he ultimately has his canon event of getting bit,
Mm-hmm.
where he's with Uncle Aaron in
Yeah.
the subway station doing
Mhm.
all the graffiti.
Yep.
Just that scene is
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
just visually so incredible, and it's just such like an interesting way to show.
And he has a
his-
special relationship with this uncle, which his father doesn't even have anymore.
Yeah,
Because his father knows things about him that he doesn't want to badmouth it to his son, but he sort of warns him about him.
yeah. I think Uncle Aaron might
know.
be my favorite character in this movie.
He's one of the good characters in it,
Yeah,
Mhm.
he feels like such a real person,
Mhm.
not
Yeah.
just like a side character in an
Mhm.
animated movie.
Yeah, no doubt. And
think-
they have a great relationship.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I think it's
Mm-hmm.
the writing for sure, but then also Mahershala Ali's performance as Uncle
Yeah.
Aaron is
And-
incredible.
And it's animation, but when you see it happening and you hear his voice, you actually see him.
Yeah, I mean,
It's-
the
it's
way that they
amazing.
capture like
Mhm.
facial expressions
Yeah.
too in these movies
Yeah,
is
it's amazing. But he has even a father figure to Miles in this, where he's talking to him about girls and this and that. Conversation he doesn't have with his own father.
yeah,
up until this point so far. His father's a police officer as well as a father. That's got to be difficult.
Yeah.
So he has a little leeway with his uncle that he doesn't have with his father.
Mm-hmm.
And it works. It was a nice...
Yeah, you kind of get the two
Mhm.
sides of almost like the same relationship.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to see.
Yeah.
You can almost pin that to being like the devil and the angel on Miles'
But
shoulder.
that's sort of, a good dynamic
Yeah.
and a good way of looking at it. But yeah, that's true.
And I like how they like imply there's a reason why Miles is Miles Morales and not Miles Davis.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Because like there's something happened in the past, like something with crime probably.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Also, pretty sure Jefferson Davis is like a racist figure in U.S. history, so I think they canonically changed that in the comics too. What I was saying about how Miles is the perfect opposite to Peter B. Parker in this movie. Because Peter B. Parker is in his 40s. He's got a gut. Being Spider-Man has basically like ruined his life
Yeah.
more than helped it, and he's kind of just like in the worst rock bottom of his life.
Yeah.
Whereas Miles is obviously ethnically different than Peter B. Parker, but also he's a young kid. Everything seems so new to him. It's exciting to him, and he just has this totally different personality of Spider-Man to him.
yeah.
And he has a traditional upbringing for all intents and purposes. A mom and dad that he still lives with. Traditionally Spider-Man's parents are deceased.
Yeah.
He was brought up by an aunt and uncle who were older
Mm-hmm.
and probably out of touch with his generational needs. So there's some differences there.
Yeah, and I also think it is like a big
Yeah.
deal to have
Mhm.
a Spider-Man that's like Afro-Latin.
No, yeah, no, and that's another big thing. With that whole background of that. I don't care where you are. There's the stigma as well.
Mhm.
Being brought up black in America is definitely different than being brought up white in America.
Yeah.
And there's different ways of looking at it. And unfortunately, it's a sad thing, but it's reality.
Yeah.
And I think that they played on that as well.
I also think that, and this is explored more in the second movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, more so for
Yeah.
sure. It is definitely explored in this one, but like this Stan Lee idea that it could be anyone behind the mask, it
Yeah.
almost feels like this
Mm-hmm.
never really
Yeah.
came true until
Yeah. Which
Childish Gambino made a push for Miles Morales,
Mhm.
and we
Mhm.
finally
Yeah.
got the character.
yeah. And I think it's fantastic that Stan Lee was actually in this saying that.
Yeah.
It fits everybody.
Jack. So
and here it goes.
Jack, yeah.
Yeah.
I was trying to get Jack to wear a
Mhm.
child's Spider-Man costume from when we were younger for this episode, which
Mhm.
it kind of fit him. It always fits.
It always fits.
It definitely wasn't gonna fit me, but Jack ultimately did not wear the suit. But yeah, it always fits Jack.
Can always try.
This movie has like a lot of just themes of heroism and sacrifice.
Yeah, I'd even say just like really heavy themes of loss as well.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All across the board. I mean, whether you are looking at it from, and that is something that's what I love about both these movies is like tonally everything kind of perfectly flows into the next one.
Mhm.
Because I was going to say whether you're looking at it from the perspective of Peter B. Parker or Miles, there is very strong themes of loss.
The one thing I liked in this movie is every other Spider person or figure that
Mhm.
showed up thought that they were the only one out there. They were in their own universes, but they all came together and they pretty quickly figured out there's other universes and we're it. Miles is the only universe that had two Spider-Men in the same universe.
Yeah.
One died, one didn't. We find out in 2 why and what happened.
Mm-hmm.
But and I guess we could talk about that because we're sort of talking about both movies. But I thought that was a nice dynamic in this that you've never seen before in any other Spider-Man movie. That up until that point.
Absolutely. I mean,
You
it
know?
was so slightly explored in that
Mm-hmm.
90s Spider-Man animated show,
Yeah.
but nothing
Nothing like
in
this,
comparison to this movie, and
Mhm.
I don't think they even knew that the second movie would be a possibility ever.
Yeah,
Looking back,
and they did a great job on the second one as well. I mean, it's just
yeah,
amazing. But I thought that how they all came together like that.
it almost reflects like this
Yeah.
panel,
Mhm.
comic panel that I'm thinking of where it's like Spider-Man like goes through something,
Mhm.
and they are kind of like referencing like a Spider-Verse thing, but it's like Peter, and he's like a damn Parker Luck, and then it shows like Ben Riley's like the Riley Luck, and just like all the Spider-Man, like, you know, they just have like terrible fucking luck in lives, kind of.
But even the Gwen Stacy one, like, she had a different take on it, though. She sort of knew Miles, like, something was happening there, or she was just figured she had to be where she had to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's how she gets introduced at the same school as him. And it's just how it all converged and it all came together.
Well, yeah, her being at the school is probably like one of the more confusing parts of the movie, because like,
but she
also
does
just like
explain
that
it
she
a
was
little
there
bit.
for like a week before.
Yeah.
You know,
But she said she just knew that she had to be there, and I don't know how she figured that out.
maybe Spider Sense, I guess.
That's what she sort of alluded to in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I guess we see at the end of the second one, their their spider senses are like linked or something.
Yeah.
Because like when Miles realizes he's in the wrong universe, her spider sense goes off.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, the spider senses do some pretty wild things in these movies. More so in the second than in the first. But I forget the rock and roll spider guy. Spider-Punk from the second one. Every time he's with Miles and talking with Miles or touching Miles, he turns pink.
Mm-hmm.
Every time he's with him, you know. And to find out later, it's like he's just very connected to him and admires him and likes to be with him.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just weird. Even when he sees some of the first Spider-Men in that, he has green and red senses going off, and then it focuses into blue. But the green and yellow colors and stuff
I think
like
green
that.
and purple.
Green and purple, that's what it was. The green and purples are coming up, and it's more so colors of
Prowler, yeah.
Prowler.
Yeah, I
stuff
think
like
it
that.
is supposed to be like a Prowler thing,
Yeah,
though.
you know. So it's. But then when he's in his uncle's apartment later on, it's blue and red.
Mm-hmm.
So it's sort of playing with you there. You know,
Yeah.
who's good, who's not. So it's a different universe.
Yeah, speaking just again about Uncle Aaron, or you know, Aaron Davis to Prowler, he's so significantly more developed in these movies than like he ever was in the comics. I feel like.
Yeah,
kind of.
so I've never read the comics, and I you know, and again, he was one of my favorite characters, and you don't want him to be an evil person in this, and ultimately he might not be.
Well, that's why I think like,
you know,
the side characters in this movie are so well written, is because you can sympathize with even like, you know, the most evil seeming guy of Aaron Davis, because, you know, you find out that he doesn't even know he's going up against his nephew that's almost like a son to him.
Exactly.
So you can sympathize and see that he's trying to do the right thing.
He does try to do the right thing, and ultimately in the first one gets killed for it. You know, and you know, is he a bad guy? Is he not? He's just a guy that got into what he got into.
Yeah.
You know,
I
almost
wouldn't,
like a free agent.
Call him an anti-hero by any sense of the word, but he's definitely a bad guy who's doing bad things, but trying to do it for a good reason.
I can see that, because when you first meet the guy, he's a guy, good or bad, he has a code. And he doesn't go past his code. He's that kind of person. Killing my nephew for the guy I work for, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, that's his code. So, yeah, he's outside of the good guy
boundaries
stuff.
of the law,
the boundaries,
for sure.
exactly. You know, but he doesn't want to be that bad person.
Speaking of the guy he works for, though, how you brought up that like you can like sympathize with the bad guy. Like I feel like you can sympathize with the Kingpin too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's definitely and again, that goes around. There's a lot of loss in these movies, you know,
Just
and that's
like
the basis
heavy
of everything.
tonal themes of loss and tragedy, for sure.
I mean, his loss was brought on by himself almost. I have to say, one of the greatest Kingpins of any one of the movies I thought was this.
Writing wise or visually?
A little bit of both. I
fucking hate the way he looks.
I loved the way he looked in this.
I just
That
think it's
giant,
a little too much for
menacing
me.
man. But you know, Kingpin, even the way D'Onofrio plays him, it's just this off-the-wall big character with this incredible strength. Okay, his head's not centered in his chest practically.
I mean, it, like,
because he's got these
goes up
broad
and down at
shoulders.
points.
I'm sorry?
It like goes up and down at points.
It does. It does.
Yeah,
but it's just supposed to show the big, broad shoulders.
It's like behind me a comic with Kingpin right on the front. But that, I feel like, he's huge, but he still looks like, you know,
Human.
a fucking human being.
I mean, I feel like you couldn't really like do it without like replicating like an old '90s comic or '90s like animation.
Mhm.
You know? Like I feel like the way they did it was very just like innovative. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it that. It's unique for sure. It just
I liked
doesn't
all of
click
the villains in
for
this.
me.
What do they call them in the second one? The Six. or
the
some-
well in the second movie it's like the Sinister Six Mafia.
Sinister Six Mafia, and that's basically all of them. You know, all the bad guys that we sort of saw some in
Yeah,
the first one.
I
Doc
love
Ock
the,
can even be in it. Which choice for Doc Ock was fantastic.
Yeah,
I loved it. You know,
I like the Scorpion design
Yep.
in this one. I
loved
think
it.
it's like
I loved all of them.
might be the Ultimate Scorpion or Miles's like Scorpion. in
Yeah,
the
I
comics.
mean, yeah, like a lot of like the Goblin was Ultimate
Yeah.
Goblin.
Yeah.
So.
Ultimate Goblin. Yeah,
But even Doc Ock's tentacles, for lack of a better term,
almost like Big Hero 6.
yeah, it was. I just loved the whole design.
Yeah.
That's funny though, with Peter B. Parker. Oh, let me guess. Your friends call you Doc Ock. No, actually, my friends call me Molly or whatever her name was. My enemies call me Doc Ock.
Yeah. This movie does do such, I mean, both of them do, but,
Mhm.
Such a great job of taking elements that are, very funny.
Yeah.
And then being able to flip them into something that
Yeah.
is not,
But
maybe
you're,
not.
You're still
necessarily-
laughing at one joke, and they're intelligently put in places. But you're laughing at one, and there's like 3 or 4 going on again, and you're trying to string all because there's so much information coming at you in these films at one
Definitely.
time.
What I was going to
More
say,
so
though,
in the second.
yes, that's
Mhm.
very true. The way that, there is constantly jokes going,
Mhm.
but like the way that one joke from here will evolve into like a plot thread over
Yeah.
here is very unique.
It is, and it's done very well.
I also think that it happens visually equally as well as it happens, in the
Mhm.
writing. Like, cause
Yeah.
like words will just be popping up on screen constantly, and it's a type of movie you have to watch like 5 times.
Well, not even that, but just like how would you like even describe? Just like it's like funnier that like how Miles like slowly like pulls his arm up to like match Peter Parker,
Yeah.
Mhm.
you know, and just like like you can't really describe that, you
Yeah.
know.
Mhm.
without
Yeah,
just
there
doing it.
is that
But
as
all
well,
in
just
trying to learn how to be Spider-Man.
the
Yeah.
visual comedy, not even talking about like the
Just
comic
panels and everything.
panel stuff popping up. Yeah.
So I mean, you even had Spider-Man Noir from what 1933 or whatever it was,
Yeah.
and he's a private eye, but he's got these
Played by the wonderful Nicolas Cage.
and Nicolas Cage played him, and now we find out that
the,
Nicolas Cage
the
is
live action
working on live action
is
for
greenlit,
this. Yeah, it's
coming from the same production and writing
Yeah.
team. So
which I think it has some potential.
yeah,
I
definitely.
could see him pulling this off because he has that great narrative voice, and it's going to be obviously a private eye, that great
Yeah.
narrative voice, and he can pull this off.
There's
And if-
so many line reads from him in this movie
Mhm.
where I'm like trying to picture him in the booth
yeah.
just going insane because you know how he acts.
and-
like when he's on screen, he's always flailing around doing something.
And I thought he was going to be the one that really tore up Miles in this, but he was actually pretty sympathetic towards him. Even
Mhm.
when they're all huddling, he's like, "The kid hears us. He's right there."
yeah,
You know, and yeah, but
it
Well,
is
that's more played for
maybe
laughs.
one of my favorite roles from him for sure. And
Yeah.
I'm very excited to see what
And
he does in live
I want to
action.
see what
I
happens.
just want to like
done right.
know like how it's gonna be like filmed, like if it's gonna be like
Yeah.
Sin City or something, you know.
Mhm.
I feel like that would probably be the best way to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's got to be.
I've only ever seen the animation side of what these guys come up with, but if they're this stylized when it comes to animated stuff, I'm just excited to see what they'll do in live action.
I think it's going to be black and white, but I wanted to see like that old style black and white that was almost has like that gold effect to it,
yeah,
you know, and I think that will work well.
I wouldn't put it past them to
Yeah.
pull out all the stops.
Yeah.
It seems
And
like
it's
they
got
do
to
that.
be like one of those old nitty gritty private eye movies, you know. The guy drinks a little bit. The
Mhm.
guy, you know, he's got the dame working, you know, in the office with him. And
Yeah.
it's got to be something like that. And I could see it happening, and him, you know, narrating in his head what's going on.
And I just think Nicolas Cage is the perfect guy for it.
I have to agree 100%, 100%, and go off the rails a little bit with the guy.
Not
Yeah.
directly Spider-Verse, but in the Spider-Man Shattered Dimensions game, you get
Mhm.
to play as him, and like he's the best part of that game. Like,
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Wow.
it's just like stealth gameplay.
I want to see if he has a canon moment in it and get the spider bite. Like, how does that happen?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but he fights Nazis. That's what the guy
He
does.
does,
He
yeah.
fights Nazis. So it's going to be, you know, I think it'll be wonderful.
The way that even Nicolas Cage like works in the group dynamic of everything. I just think the group dynamic as a whole in this movie is incredible.
100%. When I first saw the movie, and then you see, a pig, you see like a Tamagotchi type of thing show up,
Yeah.
and I'm like, what the hell's going on here? But each one of them they're very fleshed out characters when they first drop, and you get that information quickly, and you understand it,
Yeah.
because the whole Spider-Man canon stuff, so that helps fill in the blanks. But it's just those characters, their backgrounds and everything came to you pretty quickly, and it all worked.
Yeah.
Even a cartoon character pig,
Spider-Ham,
who gets away with at the end. Well, that's all, folks.
Mm-hmm.
And even that little joke there, I don't know if he could get away with that.
I just think the
Copyrights.
way that they bounce off each other is so perfect.
Yeah.
And I think my favorite, and just because it's the most explored in the movie, most likely, but the Miles and Peter B. Parker relationship, the way that kind of
started off slow and
starts off
standoffish.
It almost starts off as like an older brother,
Yeah.
younger brother relationship, and then it like quickly evolves into borderline father figure.
Yeah, but how can a Spider-Man shun another Spider-Man?
Mhm.
And you're one of me.
Yeah.
You're like
Also,
me.
as much as Peter is pushing forwards Miles' arc in this movie, Miles is equally pushing forward Peter's arc.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And then you even see it at the end, and then obviously in 2,
Yeah.
he helped him regain his relationship.
Yeah,
with
I mean,
his
he
wife.
gets, his life back on track.
Yeah.
One of my favorite like animation parts of this movie, or just I guess direction, is just like how they are like doing like basic walk and talks, but like on walls and shit.
Yeah.
You know? Like they just don't. It's like something you don't really see like from multiple people ever in Spider-Man movies.
Yeah.
You know?
Both of these movies as art pieces alone would be fantastic.
I'd say even more so impressive, and we'll get there,
Yeah.
but the second one.
Yeah. No doubt. But it's just incredible. And how they work that into the storyboards and the lines and everything else
Yeah.
is amazing.
It's just this movie is constantly communicating with you, whether it's through audio or visual.
Yeah. Again, the soundtracks in both of the movies were fantastic.
Yeah.
This movie, if it was this first one, if it was a movie by itself,
Yes.
and that was it.
I was actually thinking about this last
a
night.
great standalone movie all by itself,
Mhm.
and you could have left it where it was and just left the movie happy, and would have watched it again if you saw it, or even because you want more information from it. It's one of these movies. Yeah, it leaves you wanting more.
Yeah.
I heard somebody say, it's in my brain now, but I wish it wasn't, because I want it to come to my brain again. And I understand that, because it just has so much happening in it, and it's a lot of information. It's old kind of stuff. It's storyline that we know, but it has a fresh take on it, visually, storyline, everything.
Yeah.
And I think that even by itself, it would have been a great movie. And I think everybody who was involved with it is probably surprised that they got a second chance at doing this. But by itself, it would have been a great movie.
Mhm. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that they're, probably surprised that they got a second chance at doing it. They're probably just surprised, like, that it worked out so well.
Yeah.
I mean, it is amazing, absolutely. But, going in, you're probably not thinking we're going to make 3 of these.
Yeah. And when they started with 2, they made 2 movies at once, basically.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be a pretty big undertaking.
Well, I mean, apparently there's been like no work done on the second one. So
Oh.
yeah,
I
I don't
think
know
there's
about
been
that.
some.
I mean, they said that they hadn't even started the script or anything.
Oh.
And I
That's
think
never
like
good.
VFX artist said that like there's no way it was gonna come out or anything. So
Yeah, so now whether they have a March 2025.
Oh,
it was supposed to
Yeah.
come out like a few months ago.
That's what I
at this
heard.
point.
But now I think they put it off a year.
Yeah.
I think it's just indefinite, honestly. Yeah, to wrap up Into the Spider-Verse, is there any real like criticisms that you have of this movie without nitpicking?
The plot is like kind of basic, Like I feel like that's where the second one is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I feel like this movie works well because the plot is so easy to go through. Because I feel like if the plot was convoluted in this one, there's just so much coming at you.
I mean, yeah, it's like a solid 9 out of 10. Like I feel like for it to be like a 10 or anything, it would have to just be like how is it even like telling me all this shit and like it's like doing it well,
Yeah.
So yeah.
So you don't think like it? Why don't you think it's a 10 then?
Because like it's just like I feel like I would need a little bit more like plot,
Yeah, for me this is I'd feel wrong giving it anything less than a 9.5.
I feel like I have it at like an 8.5, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
All right.
Just like the second one blows it out of the water, in my opinion.
I think there's parts of it that do, and I think there's parts of it that don't. Personally, I think this one is better than the second one. I'll say that.
Really?
Yeah.
I said that last night, but going back and looking at stuff from 2, I did sort of get like some memory stuff back, and I think that the storyline in 2 was definitely better, and visually I think it was a better movie. The characters that were in this were more fleshed out as well, and now, because now you know that they're out there, and there's so many.
Mm-hmm.
Even the small side characters you got engrossed in, so in 2. But I think that it's a thin line. Thinking back and looking at this, I think they took so much of 1 and put it into 2 to make the story just flow straight through. I think they did a great job on that. But I think that 2 just went into it, but you couldn't do it in just one movie. So it keeps you definitely need more.
I mean, I feel like it does,
cliffhanger.
like, it's not like as bad a cliffhanger as like Alita,
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'd say Spider-Verse, like, pretty much finished everything you'd want for, like, the first part,
The original,
Yeah.
the first
I mean, we'll get there. I feel like. Do you have a final rating for the?
I
Into the
would give it a
Spider-Verse?
9 myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I even to your point of like, and I completely agree with that. It was something I was thinking of, but like this Into the Spider-Verse movie, had they never made another, and even with the other one out there, like you could just watch this one, and
I'd be happy.
in my opinion, maybe a perfect, if not a perfect, Spider-Man movie.
Yeah, and I saw it last night, probably the third time I saw it, and I watched it full through. Maybe the second time I didn't do that. And so much more jumped out at me this time, I guess, because I had seen it after seeing 2. If you go back and watch 1 after seeing 2, you see a lot more strings connecting, and it's pretty amazing storyline, and how they can get all that information to you. But again, because it's more than one format of information, and you start picking up on that stuff. It's amazing.
Okay, before we officially get into our Across the Spider-Verse discussion, we're going to be talking about the Spider-Within short film that dropped finally, like a month ago?
It's like been a few months, I think.
A couple months ago.
Yeah.
So yeah, hopping into that.
So it starts with his dad like asking if he wants to watch horror movies with him, but then he like doesn't. And he's just like walking home from school, and it's just like stuff of him like arguing with his parents and all that.
Mixed in with like
school
and the pressures of Spider-Maning.
Yeah.
Teenage stuff, but also being a superhero.
Yeah.
But then like it seems like he like goes to bed, but he doesn't. I guess it like I don't know. It's like a dream or something, seemingly. But he's getting like chased by this figure of him that just like morphs and morphs like into more spider-like stuff.
It was a little freaky.
Yeah.
Spiders in themselves sort of freaked me out, but but it was like the big spider, and then it turned into little spiders all over him. It was sort of freaky.
Yeah. For me, the big spider into little spiders thing is maybe the thing out of this whole like little short film, which is is clearly about anxiety, that really caught me. And it was big problems with anxiety could just explode that quickly into millions of little ones.
Little ones that are uncontrollable.
Yeah. Other than that, I didn't dislike this. I just kind of came and went.
Yeah,
for me.
because I feel like it didn't really like just the way he solved it was like cowering. Like he didn't fucking do anything.
Yeah.
About
But
it.
then he faced it, and he went to his father and asked, for let's talk.
It's almost like what we don't see.
Yeah.
Is the resolution here.
I guess, but it's just like weird that it wasn't like he didn't like beat it twice.
So, the one thing that we also learned in 1 is that the original Peter Parker in Miles' time universe, Aunt May knew that he was Spider-Man. Miles, nobody outside of the other Spider-Man know that he's Spider-Man. So we're back to that again, where he's a superhero, but he's a hidden superhero. So, I wonder how many other Spider characters in their universes are known. I mean, Spider-Man was a big celebrity. The last Spider-Man that we knew was also a pretty, a celebrity who was doing meet and greets with his aunt sort of as his manager and weird stuff.
Yeah.
So now we're back to a Spider-Man that has a hidden identity. So which is good. He can go talk to his father as his son and not as Spider-Man.
Yeah. I don't know. This kind of didn't do much for me. I'm I
I
guess
kind of liked it. It was enjoyable.
I mean,
it's
the
fine.
animation was good.
Yeah.
Not like up to par with the other like
Mm,
movies
yeah.
though or anything.
I guess the one thing I will say is like I'm glad that this isn't something I watched before watching Across the Spider-Verse, like initially.
What do you mean?
Just feel like this would have been like a weird like prelude thing to have come out before Across the
Just like
Spider-Verse.
in the fucking movie.
Yeah, it also almost felt like a concept from like one of these two movies that they just like never got to explore, and they're like, it's kind of cool. Maybe we'll just do like a short or something about it.
It would have been like a cool like No Way Home post-credit instead of fucking Doctor Strange trailer.
That would have been cool, but I don't know if they ever. would've
Yeah, I
had
doubt it
the
was even
rights to do that.
fucking finished.
or
at that
finished.
point.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it was finally leaked, like just like concept art for it, like a year before the movie. So
Yeah. I don't know. Kind of, it's like their little victory lap thing.
6
put
out of 10.
Yeah, I'm not even gonna rate it.
5
was
out of
just-
10.
It was just something enjoyable to watch.
Okay, officially hopping into Across the Spider-Verse from 2023.
How did you feel about the growth of returning characters?
The growth of the characters was definitely noticeable in the second one after they figured out there were others out there. You know, I guess not being the only one opened their eyes a little bit. And then, Miles also, he's in school, he's doing well, he's sort of filled in to the Spider-Man role. He's obviously taking care of crime fighting in his area.
I thought that they did well also in this movie to show him maturing a bit.
Yeah.
Like definitely, especially like as a Spider-Man.
Yeah, and sort of stretching his muscles with his parents as well.
Yeah.
And taking risks and things like that. Obviously he's out fighting crime and not going to class and or sleeping in.
There's a lot of really good I don't know if representations is the word I want to use,
Mhm.
but it's kind of what I'm trying to say is like the scenes between him and his mom in this movie when, she's being like
Mom.
the mom of a
Mhm.
teenager are
Yeah.
really, really great. And I feel like you don't get that type of stuff like
Mhm.
sometimes even in, regular movies, but even animated movies.
Yeah, I think it's some of the best Spider-Man mom figure relationship
Yeah.
that he's ever had. I mean, even across all of the Sam Raimi's, everything.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's it's one of the more connected, maybe because it's a real mom. That's something we've never seen
Yeah.
with a Spider-Man, having the full family unit, basically,
Yeah.
So, but I mean, there's so many canon things in this, but there's different versions of it.
Mm-hmm.
You look at his roommate, he even says, "I'm not your man in the chair."
Right.
He's like the most laid back, laziest SOB out there, but he's his guy who knows who he is.
Mm-hmm. It's
You know?
Genki.
Yeah, it's funny to watch that.
Did you think Gwen Stacy's growth was?
That's probably a pretty big growth, but with that also comes pressure. You see that she has a lot more pressure on her. Like it's almost like she's keeping a secret from more people now that she knows that there's others out there, but they're in other dimensions. So now she's keeping the secret of other dimensions as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
I'd say her growth is more prevalent
yeah,
than Miles in this movie.
Yeah.
yeah,
Or it's just more
most
center
certainly.
stage.
But then when she finds the freedom after she has that thing with her dad, when he finds out who she is, and I agree with you with the saying that it's almost like a coming out,
yeah.
because the tension almost grew in that moment.
Yeah,
where-
I mean, it's almost like, you
you
know,
know-
she finally comes out to her dad,
Yeah,
and then, he is not very accepting.
no,
Like,
it was a well played scene.
Yeah.
It really was. And you're thinking, okay, this is just an animated film, but these guys who make these films,
Mm-hmm.
they hold no stops. I mean, it's amazing. This is a better production than some live action stuff you're seeing out there, and
Yeah.
they're not just fooling around. Oh, it's animation. We can do whatever we want. Yeah, they get away with certain things in it, but
I think
the
they're
story.
taking that sentiment, like, more
Mhm.
like, oh, it's animation, we could do whatever we want.
The floor for animation is a lot higher.
With
Yeah.
that said, though, I think
Mhm.
they're pushing above and
I mean,
beyond
yeah,
it, like,
of course.
significantly,
Mhm.
especially in this one. It just animation alone for this one, like, I'd have to rate this top
Yeah.
5 animated movies of all time.
even from the beginning with the whole studio production stuff, it's just the art in this just goes from beginning to
Yeah.
end, and it's just and that's visual, it's music, it's everything.
I mean, just looking at, like, the artistry of a character like Hobby alone,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, that's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He's hand drawn, hand painted. It's all made to look
3D, 2D. It's
Yeah.
just just
it's
keeps
like a
going.
living Sex Pistols poster.
Basically, that's what it is, and
Yeah.
it's amazing. And oozing just I don't know charisma.
Mm-hmm.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
Speaking of oozing,
Uh-oh.
that the intro, like the actual intro to the
Mhm.
movie with like all the logos and just it was so much better this time around. I feel like.
Well, I was just telling AJ prior to you were upstairs prior to doing this that watching this movie the second time, I just got so much more out of it. It comes alive to you,
Yeah.
and it comes at you fast.
Yeah.
But it's just there's so much there.
But the intro just like
Mhm.
oozes creativity. Even just
Oh,
like
yeah.
the soundtrack to it,
Mhm.
it's just like amazing. You know.
So, did you like the soundtrack better in the first one or in this
I think
one?
I like this one more just because I know the like opening song or whatever for the first one was like an original song, but I
Yeah.
just feel like the music in this is a lot better.
Yeah, from
Um,
beginning to end, straight through.
I'll say that the music in this one I think is better, and this is the soundtrack I like more. But in this one, I don't feel like we get a scene similar to like the "What Up Danger"
Mhm.
scene in the first one,
Yeah.
where it's like you could just like point to that song and immediately think of that scene.
I mean, I guess like with a quote or whatever, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But like I think of the like not chorus, but like what would you call it during the when Vulture's like crashing out of the building and it's just like ba ba da ba, you know.
That's opera almost.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
opera.
Opera.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
it
not
was
something
just
I
yeah,
think of, to be
So
honest.
I have to say that whole vulture scene to me, number one, that he's a Renaissance vulture. Just it blew my mind. The
Yeah.
first time I thought it was great, and I'm just got so into it this time, and the opera added to it.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Things that he spoke fluent English, so that was a little bit odd to me. I think there should have been a gap with language. A language
Well, I
barrier
mean, he
going
was
there.
a Renaissance man.
But he was a
So,
Renaissance man,
like,
so
I guess it
you
makes
got
sense.
me there.
And he did speak
you know?
Italian too.
Yes, he
'cause
did.
He says,
Yeah.
"What a beautiful city" in Italian.
Yeah.
As he
Mhm.
crashes out.
But here he is. He's from the time of Leonardo da Vinci, flying in the Leonardo da Vinci.
Yeah, it's kind of just like, what if Leonardo da
yeah.
Vinci was evil?
Exactly. Basically, So it's amazing. That was probably one of my favorite scenes in the
Yeah,
movie.
it's a strong intro for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
And I like the introduction of this whole thing starting off with Gwen. Because,
Yes.
I think this movie kind of pushes her. I mean, she is definitely like the secondary lead, but
Mhm.
she is a lead in this movie.
There's no
for
doubt
sure.
she's a lead in this movie. And love interest, not love interest, I don't know. They're still
Yeah,
young
they're,
teenagers, so I mean, how serious?
Very much like tiptoeing that line, which is I don't know what to make
Yep.
of it yet
Mm-hmm.
because
And I don't think it really matters. They're still teenagers, and if anything, it's part of them growing up.
she
You know?
even mentions at one point
Mhm.
like this never works out for any of the other
Yeah,
Gwen
exactly.
Stacy's,
And
so.
he's like, yeah, but it could. But again, that's him. Again, it doesn't have to be canon.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be that.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the canon events were just like so well integrated. Like it's so
Mhm.
like it's so ingrained into just like meme culture now. You
Mhm.
know.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
100%.
Yeah. Like even just like on Twitter, you'll see people just like, girlfriend broke up with me, and it's like, dude, it's your canon event. Yeah, it's like, okay, yeah, it's everywhere. It really
Yeah.
is. I also like the way that it's kind of just like the Uncle Ben dying. Every Spider-Man has to have like an Uncle Ben or that type of situation. But taking it and flipping on its head like this, like the idea that there's one Spider-Man trying to fight against this entire, I guess canon is what
Mhm.
you would
Yeah.
call it, fighting against a canon, that it doesn't have to be this way,
Yeah.
is really
But
interesting.
now you rewind to Miles. This is like, okay, Miles knew that it happened to others, but not the full stories.
Mhm.
But he knows, okay, and he gets the whole concept of canon. But now you're going to allow it to happen to my dad, and I'm not going to be there, and then I have to walk into the situation afterwards knowing that I knew before it happened?
Yeah.
No, that's not how this is going to lay out.
Yeah.
So whether he gets there or doesn't get there, he's got to try.
I think it also opens up a
Mhm.
discussion of
And why does it have to
we
be like
even
this?
think that Miguel, like his theories are correct?
Yeah, they could be correct, but
I don't know if his solutions
yeah.
to them are correct.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah. I almost take it like he is just kind of like wrong, and he has everyone almost like brainwashed into believing that there's this only one way, I guess,
Mhm.
of dealing with this.
I mean, it is like built on faulty logic,
Mhm.
just with like him, like how there are some universes that have survived it. Like I think Spider-Man India's is fine now,
Yeah.
right? After they fixed it or whatever.
I mean, it was suffering from
I mean, yeah, but
incursion.
I'm just saying like the solution
Mhm.
isn't just like wiping it out in the first place, or like letting parents die in the first place.
Yeah.
But also just like how he might also be the cause of the entire issue. But also, I wonder where this is gonna go. But like, why Miles is like having thoughts? Like he was able to predict when it was gonna happen off of like the spots, like thoughts, you know?
What are you saying with that?
Because like during the when does it happen scene,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's before or after I'm saying that, but like he like has a vision of his dad dying from Spot, but it's like in that art,
Mm-hmm.
similar to like when they were in Mumbattan and like he first got connected to him like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it's just supposed to represent like this is a nightmare scenario, so this is just like how it plays out in his head, or if there is really a connection there,
Mhm.
like
Maybe there is a connection. I mean, he did create the
yeah,
spider.
yes, that's
The spider went and found this Miles in the wrong.
and also in the
time.
same way,
Mhm.
Miles created the Spot.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
even though like that was kind of just like Spot playing it off as a joke, but of
Mhm.
course like a big portion of his character is him being played off as a joke, and it like
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah, I think
work well.
the way that they developed this character into being
Mm-hmm.
a very significantly like threatening villain
Mhm.
is just so incredible.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, the guy figured it out because he's a
He's
smart ass scientist,
Yeah.
and he figured it out.
Yeah,
his character though
Yeah.
is just it's like funny until it isn't,
Yeah.
until it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, because it's almost like he's a stalker,
Mhm.
and it's just now it's out of hand, and how do you stop it?
Well, it's just like the way that his power scales
Mhm.
until it just like escalates to a point so quickly where it's like, oh, this is actually really bad.
Well, how do you stop this guy? Because he can go from
He's,
time to time like that.
kind of
you know.
not in control of the multiverse, but
Mhm.
has some grasp of like over it, I'd
Yeah.
say.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's an interesting character.
Not necessarily like a one-off villain, I don't think, but just like nothing really in the comics.
That's what I'm saying. The way they develop from an almost nothing character in the comics to the central
Mm-hmm.
bad guy in this movie with all this other stuff going on around it is just amazing.
Yeah.
I have to go back. I remember when we did the podcast of this movie after we saw it, and we all said it was probably one of the best movies we've seen. I still have to say it's still one of the best movies of the year back then. You
Mhm.
know, it's and seeing it again, I was like, wow, there's just so much here.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
I was bringing up how in Spider-Verse 1, how like the story was simple, but I feel like even then, just like being like, even if you think the story to this one is simple, which I don't think, it's like a lot better than the first one,
Mhm.
but just even being able to like perfectly show like what you want to tell
Mhm.
is just amazing, you
Yeah.
know, in like such an innovative way.
I think the basic story in this is simple. There's just so much going on around it that's fleshed out.
Yeah.
It's not just background stuff. There is just every character has a lot to bring.
Yeah.
It's not like they're just there as a character. You know the background. You even the girl who was taking care of the office, the hologram.
Spider-Bite.
She even had a whole fleshed out. You felt her.
Mm-hmm.
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
I mean, I agree and disagree. There
Mhm.
certainly is like a level of characters in this
Mhm.
movie where it's like, they're definitely side characters, but they're
Yeah.
fleshed out
Mhm.
really well.
Yeah.
But for me, this one is, especially like the fan service wise, is just a bit more distracting this
Yeah.
go around for me.
Well, that happened a lot in the Spider.
The Spider Society.
Spider Society.
Yeah.
That definitely happened there a lot, and it was fun, and as the fan.
Mm-hmm.
But outside of that, it touched on a lot of different canon things.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I thought that there was so much else going on. It didn't take away from the story at all for me.
For me, it does a bit, mostly just
Mhm.
because of like pacing issues, in my opinion. Which I don't know. I feel like a lot of films kind of get caught up in that,
Mm-hmm.
in like a good amount, just pacing stuff. But for this one, like right before they officially meet Miguel,
Mm-hmm.
I felt like the whole sequence of Miles, tracking down Gwen, trying to figure out what's going on, then them going through the lab and everything was just a bit, slower. And then everything kind of really just picks up
Mm-hmm.
real quick once they meet Miguel.
I don't know. I feel like I just don't have an issue with that being slower.
My issue though is that it starts off so fast paced and then it just really dies down and then picks up really quickly again, which I don't know. It just threw me off a bit.
Yeah. And then forgetting that we went into this knowing it was a 2-part. Straight till the end, it was like a screeching halt right there, and a great setup. His flashing his fingers, and the whole breakout thing, and she's assembling the team to go save him. It's gearing up again.
Yeah, I totally forgot that this was like a 2-part thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not like in love with the way that the movie ends personally. I
think it's fine.
I know. I get that it's like a 2-part thing.
Yeah. It's a cliffhanger.
But back to what we were saying for the first one, like you don't have to watch another one after watching the first one. You could watch the first one, and if they never made a second one, it's a perfect movie in my opinion.
Well, I mean, this one definitely has you wanting for more.
Yeah,
the
don't
first
get me
one,
wrong.
You can go to the end and just have, that's a great movie, and have your own thoughts in your head of what could happen next. This one here is linear, like at the end. Now you got to take that track and go.
Yeah.
And that story can go in any direction,
I definitely want more. It's just, I don't know. I feel like there's a cleaner way to do it than what they did.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like with every single like series, like even like book series that like starts out as has a series in mind. Like the first one is like mostly like singular story, and they like think that they are done forever with it, and then the second one is when like the continuing issue happens.
I mean, I'd say like a movie like Infinity War wraps up in such a way that I guess it technically is a cliffhanger, but it wraps up in such a way where, it's clean almost, It just ends with Thanos on the planet in his dream scenario where he's destroyed half the universe.
I guess. But I don't know. Like,
it's not
I
so,
don't
like,
even know how
abruptly,
you would end it like that, where like the villain wins,
Yeah.
Because Infinity War is like from Thanos' perspective,
Mm-hmm.
which is completely different from this movie.
Yeah. That is true, yeah. I don't know. I just feel like this one is like I didn't need the scene where like they're assembling the team, because like of course they're gonna do that. I didn't necessarily need that to like get me pumped for the next chapter of this story.
I mean, I guess just like to know who's on the side.
I guess, but like it's just silly to me almost. Like I would have been. It would have been more impactful to have ended with the Miles and Miles thing.
They're also just like, I finally have my band.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
And like the whole thing of like how
again
the
it's
spiders are lonely.
a growth story for her.
I see what you're saying with that. Maybe just in my opinion though, it would work better as a main plot thread of this part 2, that she does find her band.
I feel like it made more sense with this one.
Yeah,
to just have it.
Maybe. I don't know. I just don't like the way it ends personally.
Maybe you're just a contrarian.
I don't think I'm a contrarian. I like this movie a lot.
So a lot of the scenes with Gwen and her dad were pretty powerful. First when they're at the art museum, and at the end when he figures out, or she shows who she is. I mean, that was pretty powerful. But he just stayed the course. I'm a cop, and you're a bad person.
Yeah.
Without even thinking, we'll sort it out at the precinct. And of course, he gets put into whatever that thing that they put him into. And she decides, that's it, I gotta go because I can't be here because he's gonna take me to jail. And she's gone for months. But when she came back, he decided, like, it's not worth it without you here, and this and that, and he's basically giving up.
Yeah.
And
well, he resigns.
Yeah,
from the
which
force.
is, but does that save his life? Does that break that canon?
Yeah, I mean that's something they explore as well.
Yeah,
is like he's not
captain,
the captain anymore. So it's always like Captain Stacy has to die. So it is interesting actually that
Yeah.
Well, it's not Captain Stacy. It's just a captain.
I guess, yeah, that is true. But the idea of like Miles is fighting it to fight it because he believes there's another way.
Yeah.
And now Gwen is just almost like by happenstance, falling into this situation where she's no longer, involved in the canon of that situation.
Yeah.
So I really.
So what happens in our world?
I wonder how that's gonna play out.
Yeah. And what the hell does he do for a living?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's a single dad. We haven't even explored that. Or seemingly a single dad.
Yeah, I wonder if that'll end up sending her world like into an incursion state.
Yeah, I don't know, but I just thought some of those were pretty powerful moments.
Yeah, even like the 2 punk rock to give your old man a hug.
Yeah,
yeah. It's very good writing, and I love the way that her art style like actually affects the world around her.
Yeah.
It almost looks like it's crying sometimes. Everything's running down.
Yeah.
I like the watercolor
It's all
scenes. when
watercolor,
she's-
yeah.
But then she left the scene and went right back, to that monotone bluish.
Yeah, and
Right.
it's like the way that she's feeling
Mhm.
is constantly being represented by just like how vibrant the colors are.
Yeah. And that's what she has in common with Hobie, And you see that Miles is like, so who's Hobie, whatever, and this and that. But those two it's just a different connection. It's like a brother-sister thing maybe, or just friends.
I also think
You know?
Kobe really wants to fuck Miles, personally.
It's possible. I don't know. He has like this love thing for him. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
And it's possible.
I mean,
Yeah.
he just like reads off to me like a bisexually coded character.
It's most certainly could be.
So does Gwen, though, too.
Yeah,
So,
100%. And that could be the connection
Yeah,
as well. All these things don't have to be said.
Yeah,
it's
and
just
that,
and that's what adds to just the realism.
That's
of
why
it.
I love like some of those like Claremont X-Men runs is because like there's so much undertones in the writing at a time when the heads of Marvel just so did not want that.
Yeah, and you don't have to
be a
put it in
thing.
people's faces because this is what society wants now. It's just real, and that's what it is. That's why these two attracted to each other. They have another commonality other than being spider people.
Yeah, absolutely.
know?
Yeah, I love when writers are able to accomplish stuff like that.
Yeah, because it adds depth to
Absolutely,
a
yeah.
character. And they did that very well in this movie.
I think the X-Men are the only other ones that I've ever really seen that accomplished with.
Yeah, and we might see it, hopefully going further.
Yeah.
So in the first movie, I thought both Gwen and Miles were like very great in their roles, but I feel like for at least the first 30 minutes of this movie, they just like felt completely out of it, Like
You
they
think?
they just felt like extremely dry and like bored, and I even like whispered to you like they feel bored and that's making me feel a little bit bored. But yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if I felt bored at any point during this movie, just because it's so.
I mean, yeah, their
insane
like
visually.
action scenes are amazing, but just like even when she's getting like thrown against the wall, she's just like giving out a joke, but like not even like caring enough to like make it sound punchy, I don't know.
I thought another one of the great scenes in this movie is when there was sort of like, hey, let's get out of here, and, walking around and upside down and hanging out upside down and just talking. I thought that was some of the best stuff in the movie.
I mean, yeah, that's
a
a
lot
lot
it was a little
better.
slow, don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, but it was good dialogue.
By first like 30 minutes, I mean like up until Gwen portals to Miles's world.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I guess, to push this conversation forwards, who is your favorite new voice actor? I'd just have to say mine is Oscar Isaac by far.
Yeah.
I think
He's
the guy
pretty
just like,
good,
kills
but-
it
yeah.
in anything he does.
Yeah, he just does so much connected to
Disney
Disney
really.
is unreal.
I mean, I think he has the record for most comic book characters.
Yeah,
Or
he
that might be
might.
Chris Evans.
yeah.
Maybe original Marvel characters.
So the first time I saw this movie, I absolutely despised Miguel. But now this time,
Do you
I was
take
like,
that as a good thing though? Like, did you despise him because you just couldn't agree with him and he's so well written?
but that's basically what it was. This time, I don't know, something softened me. Like, I don't know if I agreed with him, but I wanted to sit and reason with him instead of saying, no, F you, this is not the way it's going to happen. This time, I felt like I wanted to reason with the guy, and let's figure this out together. There's a lot of us, and that's what I wanted to do, especially when he had the whole thing going on with Gwen, and she's like, he's my friend, and he's, but that's the problem,
Yeah.
and then she got singled out, and I'm like, but
He's so well
you guys
written
got to talk
as
about
like
this.
a standoffish asshole because he's
Yeah.
so caught up in his own beliefs.
But you almost see that in there's the guy that was soft and got broken, and that's what it is.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
the whole point of like his character in this film
Mm-hmm.
is that he's never going to see his family again.
Yeah.
And now his like
I still don't
life,
get the whole vampire thing. Was he a vampire that became?
He's
Spider-
kind of just like a vampire Spider-Man.
It's just like a
lab.
like the writer for it just like went a different route for how he gets his powers
I
because it's
just
from
did.
fucking 2099.
Yeah.
Mhm.
His spider is like genetically zapped with something else, I guess.
Well, I think it might actually
bloodthirsty
be from
spider.
another universe or whatever, like something Alchemex or whatever it is.
It's almost similar to like the Spider-Woman one, right? Or no,
Mm.
doesn't she get her powers? She's not bitten.
I don't know. It's like so fucking
matter.
retcon.
But he's a
everything.
Spider-Man that kills,
Yeah.
and that's not a big Spider-Man thing. He doesn't kill.
Yeah.
Well, the Spider-Man we know.
I love the
You
scene
know?
when he's just like fucking pissed and you see like the fangs come out.
That's what I mean. When he got so I'm like, wow, this
Yeah.
guy's dangerous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I just think like a well thought out but ultimately wrong villain is so much better than just like the same beliefs as the villain but they kill people. You know,
Yeah.
like any of the like Marvel like TV shows we've seen so far.
Yeah, I guess like aside from maybe Kang and Loki,
Yeah.
all of the MCU TV villains feel very just like cut and paste. Yeah, a good handful of the movie ones do as well.
I mean, the one from Falcon and the Winter Soldier is probably like the biggest example of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
My favorite after that tangent is probably I guess not a tangent, but Peter Parker.
Yeah, he is great. I also like the Spot. Jason Schwartzman kills it.
Yeah. I mean,
he just went off in that.
he's a great actor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gosh, they really got to cast him in more stuff than just Wes Anderson movies.
yeah, he went off in this character, and I think that the drawing and like the lankiness and
It almost is like a very Wes Anderson-y character.
and uneasy in his own skin because it's really not who he is.
Yeah.
It's just with the voice and the way it moved, it just worked well.
I
Great
think of the
character.
pose that he makes, like right before the bread falls out of him a lot. You know.
That was hilarious. It's just the bread falling out of himself. You know, that's a pretty good scene though. That whole opening scene of him just I need money. I'm just where's the ATM? Okay, thank you. Just walking about, try to put a hole in it. Up, that's not working.
What did you think of the like action scene in this movie?
It was just nonstop action from beginning to end. The fight scene again, going back to the art museum when the others started showing up, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. I remember seeing it the first time in the movie and thinking it was cool. Then I saw it again. It was like, wow, this is still fresh, and I'm watching this again, and
I think my favorite one is in 2099 universe when
Miles leads everyone away.
he's kind of just like leading everyone on a wild spider chase.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like fucking 5 action scenes linked together.
It
Yeah,
really is.
Yeah, I mean, just also
Yeah.
to like accurately capture the scale of like the 2099 like Nueva York like that is just incredible to look at.
My favorite is probably when it's during the museum scene, but it's like right as the drums kick in, and Gwen like saves the helicopter.
Yeah.
Just the way the music works and like how it also works as like just the drums, you know, because she fucking plays drums, like working that in. And it's just a great superheroing. So
Absolutely.
and then the payoff with that's what I would have done.
Yeah. Do you guys have any thoughts on I guess the way that Miles and Peter B. Parker's relationship has evolved in this one? It's totally changed in my opinion from
it's more
the
like
first one.
father-son.
It's also like
know?
it has like almost like completely like betrayed Miles in this movie.
No, I think just about everybody betrayed Miles in this, if you think about it.
I just found like the Peter B. Parker one was like almost like, oh man, like not you too type of thing.
Yeah. Which is weird because like I wonder what happened in the first place to even make Miguel not want Miles and Gwen in the universe, but like had Peter B. Parker in it, you know?
Like, because he was in Peter B. Parker's world.
Yeah.
So I guess, by default, he's kind of locked into the situation with him.
Why would, like, because you remember the line where it's like, you know why, as in referring to like why he wouldn't want Gwen in the universe.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's her connection to Miles?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, that's a bit confusing to me because, like, doesn't Peter B. Parker have the same connection technically?
Maybe he trusts Peter as an adult.
I guess.
And, Peter ultimately does shut him down in this one. So
Yeah.
I guess, Miguel's intuition with that one is spot on.
Peter B. Parker does like, come around to him.
He does, yeah.
So.
But initially, I mean,
Yeah.
Miguel would have been right, technically.
I guess. I don't know. It's just, like, weird.
No, I do agree. It is like
It's
a
just
roundabout.
unseen stuff that I feel like would have been better was just, like, at least a referral. Especially with, like, how they talked about how they didn't want Gwen on the team.
I thought about that scene when Peter B. went home after that whole confrontation, like, oh, a bad day at the office. You know, like, I didn't want to do this to this kid, but I did. I destroyed a relationship. And I think that really grated on him, and then he pounced at the chance to go make it right.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like someone knows something that they're just like not saying almost with everything that's going on.
I mean, like,
well, I think it's Miguel. I personally think that's what it is. I think he
I
knows
almost feel
something.
like Peter B like has to be in the know too,
It's
because they
possible.
seem like they're like this as far as a working relationship.
And he's supposed to be the all supreme, and he gets away with goofing on him.
Yeah.
Bringing his kid to work, she's destroying everything. She's got a freaking safety watch thing on. You
Yeah.
know, the whole bit.
it'll be like amazing if we can go back to this movie whenever part 3 releases, in the same way like we went back to Into the Spider-Verse when
Mm-hmm.
you can see the moment when Miles's like colors turn from green and purple
Mm-hmm.
to blue and red.
Yeah. And I focused on that this time in the last scenes, and it definitely went blue to red in there around his uncle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and his uncle says, "I'm not Prowler." He is.
Yeah.
But it's like the uncle had the glove, but he was like doing stuff like getting it ready. And you knew shit was up. Hey, what'd you do to your hair? This and that. And you knew the mother didn't get it, but I knew the uncle got it. This time around, I figured the uncle knew at the apartment.
Yeah.
This is not the right
I
Miles.
wonder if
Something's up.
they're going to go the route that in this universe, Aaron Davis might just be like more on the good side of things than the bad.
I have a feeling that's what the deal is.
Like, you know,
Because
his
they're
character's
living in a society where crime runs.
It's almost similar to like the Old Man Logan storyline when
Mhm.
the supervillains take over.
Yeah, and that's what this is. I
Yeah,
think.
it's just like Spider-Man's rogue gallery seems to be in control
Mhm.
of, you know, at
Yeah.
least New York.
Yeah, that should be interesting. Now, does Spider-Man join them?
I don't know. It would be interesting if there was also another Spider-Man in that world that is the bad guy, and that's why there's a Prowler, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Did he find the comedy better or worse in this movie?
On par, honestly. And that's not a bad thing. It was as good as it was in the first
Yeah.
one.
I feel like I can think of more funny moments in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
But like I do love shit like I don't want to wear this anymore
Yeah, yeah.
during the soap.
I thought a
Yeah.
lot of it was intelligent humor. There's no
Yeah.
doubt. You know,
I just
like-
think that these guys have such a style
Mhm.
where it's like, you know, when you have one of their movies on. Like, you can even look at that Lego Batman movie and it's like, oh, yeah, like, of course these guys made that.
I mean, I can even think of Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs
Mhm.
relies mostly on just like visuals and
Yeah.
and like calling it out. I guess
It's so funny, too, because I hadn't even realized, I guess, before we did this, that they were behind that. And it's just so obvious once you think about it that, you
Yeah.
know, it is their style.
But I feel like even just like Foam Party and then like the soap going to Foam Party, you
Mhm,
know,
mhm.
just like interesting. I guess.
Mhm.
Like I only realized that on the most recent rewatch.
Yeah.
So.
even the Lego world, Spider-Man. I mean, and making him prominent. So even Lego Spider-Man is part of the thing, and Miles isn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Designed by like a 13 or 15-year-old kid.
Yep.
Yep.
Which is amazing.
After the fucking first trailer came out,
Yeah.
even stuff like Chai Tea, but like also ATM machine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely like what Dad was saying, just like highbrow humor.
Yeah,
kinda
just like a lot of callbacks too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even like, ooh, I think that's Banksy.
Yeah.
I think the way that they did the whole India scene, you know, going from high to low, was pretty wild as well. You know,
Yeah.
when then Miles is coming in hot, you know. I
Yeah.
thought that was pretty
I think
well
the
done.
world building of this one,
Mm-hmm.
it's just like insane how you can do it so quickly.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'll believe anything you tell me about these worlds, these
Mhm.
universes.
Yeah.
On the flip side, though, what were some of your most favorite like emotional moments?
Like I was talking about a bit earlier, the scenes between Miles and Rio really hit for me in this movie. In like the most drama movies or TV shows, you don't get content between like parent and son or parent and child like this.
Yeah.
Just so relatable.
The only like format I could even see it in is like maybe fucking like This Is Us or something.
Yeah, like a soap opera, really.
Yeah,
It's
or just like the
only-
occasional moment in like something like fucking Modern Family.
Yeah,
I'd have to say a lot of the family stuff, you know, but
you were more geared towards Gwen and
well,
her dad.
yeah, no, definitely the dad, the scene between her and her dad, they were just pretty touching scenes with a lot of emotion. But the father played it so well. It's got to be tough doing that as a voice actor as well. But he didn't know what to say when she first came back, you know, and he mumbled, and so you know, it was
I
sort
think
of a tough
not,
scene.
again, not to cut you off, but something that these movies, and particularly this one,
Mhm.
does very well is through animation
Mhm.
visually capturing like subtle face stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like being able to like read someone's face
Yeah.
through animation is
But then, you know, the hug
crazy.
scenes and everything else. I mean, she's definitely a hugger when it comes to her dad. She doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know what to say. And again, it's a girl. He's seemingly a single dad. with the whole background of he's an Irish cop, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
What does he know about raising a girl and a teenage girl? You know, that's like, oh boy. He doesn't know what to say, what to do. Even, again, going back to that scene when he was going to arrest her. That's what he does. He didn't know what to say or do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do what I do. I'm going to arrest you.
Yeah. He makes
Yeah.
the easy choice.
Yeah, you know, but I think that him figuring it out, I accept who you are, what you. So again, it's like that coming out thing, and now he's come to grips with it. The love is more than what you're telling me,
Yeah.
you know. And I thought that was pretty tight, and how you do that in animation and almost bring me to tears is wow, that's pretty
Yeah.
wild.
Yeah. This definitely is my favorite, but the scene where all the spider people, kind of have Miles like almost like huddled up and they're just discussing that you can't do both.
Intervention.
Yeah,
Intervention.
Yeah.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. That's
underneath
what he said.
the tree or the web of life and destiny.
Yeah.
So,
That
do you
was-
have one that you?
Well, yeah, I just think that scene that you were just talking about was like
Mhm.
very just like how they kept going forward with it and just
Mhm.
like more spiders showing up.
Yeah.
But I like Miles talking to his dad, but the dad doesn't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, that stuff is great.
Yeah.
And just like how they like replicated like looking over an ocean with like just like plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you guys have a favorite fan service moment from this movie?
Power of the multiverse in the palm of my hand.
Really?
Like, funny to me.
That's yours.
Mine's like a tiny one, and it's just that I guess it's that '70s cartoon Spider-Man in
60s.
'60s. It was that the
Yeah.
older one, yeah. And he sort of catches eyes with Miles as Miles is running through trying to get away from everybody, and he says like that little '60s Spider-Man
Mhm.
stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, shit, that's old.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the like scenes where there's multiple versions of it, right?
I don't know.
Mm.
Mine though, is Childish Gambino appearing in this
Mhm.
movie
Yeah.
as the Prowler.
That's the Prowler. It's
Which
just
is
He
like
was
so
also
cool.
in the first movie.
Yeah.
Not like he played Spider-Man in the first movie,
Mhm.
technically.
Yeah.
What do you mean? He played Spider-
Because he didn't play Spider-Man, but, like he was in a Spider-Man costume because it was a scene from Community,
Oh,
or like the intro from Community
interesting.
was on Prowler's TV.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean that is a great Easter egg. I didn't know that,
Mhm.
but this one is just like such a double Easter egg, like callback situation for me.
Yeah.
Because Donald Glover is one of the main reasons that
This is out,
Miles
yeah.
is
Mhm.
even a character.
Mhm.
Also, he's playing the British version of the Prowler from
Mhm.
Hobie's universe, I guess.
Yeah.
Was it
Yeah,
Hobie's
Hobie
universe?
caught him.
Or
Yeah,
yeah,
Hobie just caught him, I think.
It's interesting though that he's British.
Mhm.
That's why I assumed he was from his
Yeah.
universe. But yeah, I mean, he is the Prowler in MCU canon, or not the Prowler, but he's Aaron Davis at least.
Mhm.
So
That has a nephew
Yeah.
somewhere.
does have a
Mhm.
nephew somewhere.
Yeah.
So I guess whenever they want to pick that up, they can.
Mhm. What are your predictions or hopes for the next movie Beyond the Spider-Verse?
That Miles proves himself to be right. That he can do both, be
Mhm.
Spider-Man and break the canon.
Yeah. At least that. Not. I don't know if we'll see that Miguel is completely wrong.
Mm-hmm. I almost feel like this is like Miles' coming out party as a character in this trilogy, where it's
Mhm.
like he already being Afro-Latino as a Spider-Man is like breaking the mold that was kind of set by the traditional Spider-Man for
Mhm.
so long. And I feel like the fact that like he's set to break like the canon of Spider-Man in this one is kind of just the next evolutionary step for the character, in my opinion.
Now, Miles, in his time, the only person that knows that he is Spider-Man is his roommate. Nobody else knows.
Mm-hmm. It was his uncle did, and then he died.
His uncle only did because, of the whole scene, but now he's dead.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't really count.
Also, technically, Aunt May and Peter.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
Yeah.
true. Aunt May, she moved to Florida.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
she did.
So I'm just, it seems like some of them had more people know, so I wonder if that's going to play in, like, does he finally end
What?
up telling his parents?
Yeah, like that. That's probably my favorite cliffhanger to the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like when he finally gets
'Cause
the
he
balls to tell
almost-
his mom,
Yeah.
and then she's
Yeah,
just like,
exactly.
who the hell's Spider-Man? What are you
Yeah.
talking about?"
Yeah. There is no Spider-Man.
That scene for me, I was just
Yeah.
like,
But he almost did it also when they were together after Gwen left
Yeah.
when they were in Brooklyn.
Gwendola.
Gwendola.
I mean, he almost fucking revealed it to the entire roof.
Yeah.
That's
like,
true, too.
Right before he got grounded or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
For like directly after this movie ends, like and right where we pick up, I feel like just a prediction, but like he is gonna fail to do the chain electrocution thing because like it's not touching his palms. So
Because he's doing his fingers.
and also it would just be a nicer version.
I feel like he's gonna bust right out of those chains. Not gonna lie.
I feel like that'd be too easy.
I feel like he's gonna get out of the chains, but then like there'll be some sort of chase scene where he just fails to capture
Yeah, but
Prowler,
you have to.
and then it's revealed to us what's really going on in that city. I almost feel like we're meant to believe that this version of Miles is bad, the Prowler version, but I feel like we're gonna see that maybe.
But also the fact that his uncle and Prowler, Miles, don't have any reaction that this is Miles and he's from a different dimension. They have no real reaction to
Aren't
that.
they like, who are you, right?
Well, but it's obvious it's a Miles and a Miles.
Well, maybe
I mean,
they
Miles
think,
is a smart kid.
Yeah.
You know, like if it's supposed to be that he picked up the same place that the other one left off, like right when the spider bite happened, then like Miles fucking like knew what multiverse was in the first one.
I guess, yeah.
So yeah.
But they may know more than we
Yeah.
think that they know.
Yeah, that's
You
a
know?
good point.
Because I think the uncle played him the whole time
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
and
Well,
got
I
him
think
back.
he probably knew once the braids.
That's what I mean. He
Yeah.
knew back at the apartment
Yeah.
that something was up.
Mhm.
And that, the hug, the whole bit is like, dude, yeah. He obviously spends time with this guy. And then all of a sudden, you're approaching me like we don't know each other, and you're a different person in this one. You're more street than this kid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he knows something's up.
If you're right though that there is like something going on, like I wonder, and like they're good or whatever, I wonder how they'd explain like the whole security's off, and
What this, you have to also remember how the beginning of this movie happened. We had a Renaissance villain come through too.
Mm-hmm. Isn't it? Yeah, because of the incursions.
Because of the incursions.
What do you
Directly because of that. He even said, you left wide holes open.
what would the security like connect to that though?
I'm just saying that they must know something.
Yeah.
Maybe they
Oh.
were already connected
Mhm.
with something going on.
What would you like to see in any potential spin-offs, or like what potential spin-offs would you like to see?
Spin-offs of
I
this.
don't really want to see any spin-offs.
Not
personally.
even the noir thing.
I don't think that's a spin-off of this.
I think it is.
Oh, it most certainly is.
A spin-off of this? I wouldn't.
Not like this specific movie, but just like there are spin-offs.
Well, if
that come
that's
out
what
of
you
the
mean, where
series.
it's like a
It'll be a
character is gonna get reprised in like a different context.
Yeah.
Then I guess the noir one.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
excited
actually
for.
looking
I
forward to
think
the
there's
noir
supposed to be
one.
one for Spider-Gwen too. Although I think
I'd-
that was supposed to be like on shaky ground.
Live action or
I think animated.
animated? I think
Um,
animated would be so
yeah,
much better
I
for
wouldn't
that
want it to be
character.
the same one though.
Yeah.
Personally,
Why not?
I just feel like the story that they have going on now is like what I'm interested in. I wouldn't really care to have like a spin-off show of this Spider-Gwen. Not interested in it. I wouldn't really want like a spin-off of any of these characters personally.
Not even Ben Riley.
Definitely not. That's probably my least favorite one in the movie.
Going back to the other conversation, though, you have to figure that they're at 42 now is
Mhm.
where Miles are.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be maybe an incursion or something happening there because
Yeah.
their cannon was broken.
Yeah, because I guess like I wonder what must have happened for them to be able to like steal that spider or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, maybe
that-
it was
that-
literally the moment that Miles was about to get bit and he saw too much or something.
That's possible.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe his uncle was the Prowler and something happened there. I don't know. But yeah, I mean, there obviously would have been canon
It's
events
almost
there,
like
but there wasn't even a Spider-Man.
like what if like it happens the same exact way that it does in Into the Spider-Verse, but there's no Spider-Man to save Miles from that situation. Like after he's been bit and he watches Spider-Man die.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know why that. Then there would not be. He wouldn't have even like gone into the collider then,
Mm-hmm.
because like I think I don't know. Somebody like crashed into the wall and where the thing was. Do you think this movie did a better job at entering mainstream culture?
No.
Like
No
stuff with
kidding.
like the whole canon events and that.
Yeah, I think so. I feel like that kind of just happens with movies that are popular like this, where it's like the
Mhm.
next one, as memes evolve, like it just gets caught in the cycle of
Yeah.
ever evolving.
I mean, Into the Spider-Verse didn't really have anything like canon events. I don't think.
Yeah, no,
Well,
I don't think it. Maybe. Hey,
yeah,
it was like the only one I could think
Yeah.
of.
I guess so. I feel like it had a bigger one than that. I don't
Yeah,
know.
can't think. Let's do this one more time, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What Up Danger too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Let's Do It One More Time is probably the biggest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What Up Danger was, kind of just like a TikTok
Mhm.
sound for a while, I believe. Yeah,
I feel like this movie, like canon events, is like everywhere and all that.
Mm-hmm. Even just like the fucking picture of Miles, just like
Yeah. Well, that's not even. That's just like drawn over.
I know, but I feel like I see that a lot, especially like in comic book Twitter.
What did you think of like the new Miles suit?
I don't
Looked like he was bleeding from under his arms.
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
I feel like
That's
I
cool.
didn't like it, or I liked it more when the movie came out, but like I kind of understand that it's like bad now.
It's
and
cool.
It feels like it's supposed to be like a little bit bad on purpose.
Maybe. I feel like it's cool. Like it would only look cool in this movie. Like if it was a live action suit, it would look really weird.
The one joke that I really didn't like that they did twice was the bleeding under the
bleeding
armpits.
under the arms.
Yeah.
I just feel like it wasn't that funny.
It didn't hit the first time, didn't hit the second time.
Yeah, I'd have to agree.
Yeah.
But I didn't like the suit.
Favorite scene?
I still have to go back to the Vulture from beginning to end, and that one scene that you speak about particularly with the helicopter and the drums and everything else, I think is like really what brought it to a crescendo almost. It was amazing.
Also, for me, the just like 5-scene chase sequence.
I even liked the whole thing in Mountbatten. I thought that was a nice scene too. But the whole lead up to it, him falling basically into India and going through the different hierarchies down to basically a Calcutta and then settling.
I quite enjoyed the whole sequence when he ends up in 42. I think it is a great ending until it isn't.
Yeah.
For
See,
me.
I what I liked about it is that you think that Gwen is outside of his apartment and he's inside.
It almost plays like
You know?
Silence of the Lambs when they go to the door.
Yeah.
It's the wrong house.
And I forgot about it, and I'm like, wait, I know there's something here. Oh shit, that's right. He's in his house, but he's in a different time.
And
It
then
is
it's like so
interesting.
obvious that it's like fucking raining. The
Yeah.
lines are completely different.
I'm not remembering. Are they all connected via spider sense or just Gwen?
It seems like just Gwen
Yeah.
and Miles, because like that was what was most handy, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Another good scene that we didn't touch on is, and it was one of those nice touching scenes, when Gwen says, fuck it, I'm walking out of this room, I'm going to interact with the parents. He's not here, but I'm going to go get him. They have no idea where this kid is.
Yeah.
They think she's going like down the block to go get him or something. And I thought that was pretty wild. She's like, but it's okay. And he talks about you guys all the time, He just...
Just thinking of the dad.
Yeah.
And what is he, a drug dealer?
Cop. Retracted.
He's such a fucking great actor.
Yeah. It's the guy from
Atlanta
and Eternals. It is funny that he ends up in this and he's like Childish Gambino friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
They're doing Atlanta together, right?
Atlanta's finished.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
Until it's not. Like
Yeah.
Kirby Enthusiasm. Do you have a least favorite scene?
Do I have a least favorite scene? I don't know, because it went by so fast. I'm certain there was parts I was like,
Did it go by faster or slower than the first one for you?
I think it went by faster this time. No,
It's full 40 minutes longer.
I know, and it went by pretty quick.
I feel like despite the pacing issues I have, it does go by faster just because like there still is like constantly stuff happening.
Yeah.
Even visually, like it's just
Visually.
I think that maybe there is some stuff that happens in what becomes the chase scene that were just a little bit dragged out that they didn't have to do.
Which chase scene?
The one inside Spider Society.
Like what?
Just some of the when it first started, like get that spider. Some of that in the beginning before he took everybody out were a little bit slow to me.
Yeah.
Like they didn't have to do all of it.
I'd even say like
you know.
the 60s Spider-Man thing, like for as good at fan service it is, like it's just like
It was just silly,
it's
but
right in the middle of that,
There is some like fucking Looney Tunes type stuff where it's just like
This,
staying
this
on the guy's
movie
back.
feels like a lot. It's like almost like Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's like so balls to the wall, insane at times.
Yeah.
And just like I guess that mixed with like the animation achievement of it.
Yeah.
Does play. I like that a lot.
I felt like it was fine though. Like you can get over it quickly.
But when he's up at top and looking down on Nouveau York, and he says, "But I cut you all out," and then he goes back and takes over. That was pretty good.
I don't know. I can't really think of any least favorite scenes other than just like least favorite parts, like the fucking first 30 minutes acting rating.
I'm going to have to say what I think I did a 9 or a 9.5 for the first one. I'm right there with this. Same.
I'll go with the 9.
Yeah.
Let me give this one a 8.5.
What do you give the
same
first one
thing.
again? 9.5?
10.
Did you?
9.5 to a 10.
I thought
Crazy.
you were less on the first one. But no, I think these are both right there. And again, the art, all arts in this were just
Mhm.
amazing, you know.
I'd say this one's closer to a 9 than an 8 for
Mhm.
me.
You know, when you put just the animation art, musical art, acting art, when you put all that stuff together in this,
Yeah,
you don't
I mean-
see that too much in anything out there today.
Incredible achievement in animation.
Yeah, yeah. To the point where it's almost like it's a live action. I mean, I think you had more effort put into this than most live action films, and it played out
Yeah.
probably stronger than most of them.
Yeah. I
Did
mean,
this
the
movie
only
win any awards?
It was nominated and then it didn't win.
It didn't.
The first one did,
Mm-hmm.
I believe.
I think the only movie you can really compare it to, even in like the amount of just like fucking multiple years of work, is probably like Avatar or
Mhm.
something. You know.
And
I-
what I
and-
said awards-wise was at least the Academy. I don't know if it had
Mhm.
one elsewhere,
Yeah.
like the Golden Globes or something. I don't know.
I think it was better than Avatar's.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, yeah. I'm just saying like.
Mhm.
I'll never watch
There's just like
another Avatar.
stories about like fucking how the kid was like fucking 8 when it started, and now he's like
Yeah.
he can drive or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's your turn for the encyclopedia.
My turn for the Encyclopedia. All right. No closing statements on the Spider-Verse?
No. Watch it.
Looking forward to 3, or
And
the second part of this.
Yeah. Really enjoyed watching it a month ago.
Is that really when you watched it again?
No, I mean the third one was supposed
Oh.
to come out a month
yeah.
ago.
True. All right. Time to hop into the Marvel Encyclopedia. Pick a random page, pick a random character, and talk about it. These guys are interesting.
Yeah, what the hell's that one up in the corner?
Yeah,
Looking
I got
above?
the Time Breakers.
Time Breakers.
Yeah, their first
I know who
appearance
they are.
is, you know who they are? Exiles number 62 from June 2005. Their base is Panopitron. Special.
Fucking have no idea what that is.
I don't know. Maybe their planet.
I don't know.
Spe-
Never referred to in the comic.
Oh. Is Exiles X-Men stuff?
They are like all mutants at one point, like originally at least.
Special powers and abilities. None, but they have access to the Panopitron.
Oh, you're fucking Panoptricon.
Yeah.
Panoptricon.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it's like it's essentially like fucking what Spot can do.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting. They look like just like beetles.
Mm-hmm.
Not like George Harrison, like an actual bug. The Time Breakers are an alien insectoid race that found the Panoptricon, a crystal palace that sits at the nexus of all realities.
Panitricon.
Outside of time and space, not knowing what they were doing when they arrived, they made mistakes that damaged many different realities. Hoping to repair the problems they caused, they created a human-looking illusion called the Time Broker to gather heroes known as Exiles and send them out on missions. Time Breakers come in different casts, including cockroach-like workers and mantis-like sovereigns. All right.
Sounds like a problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Spot really doesn't have any powers other than running through time.
Well, multiverses.
Yeah.
Multiverses and sort of stitching them together somehow.
I mean, he can also
Also,
fucking teleport.
Seemingly can cause incursions
yeah.
by messing up timelines.
I mean, I was even thinking, like, I noticed a part where it's, like, right before they went into Alchemax, I think. But, like, he, like, had a piece of fucking... cool that I have this. He had, like, a piece of scrap metal, and he, like, crushed it with his hands. And I don't know, like, if that was supposed to be, like, he was charging himself up or something, or what.
I don't know.
Or if it was just, like, he fucking put it through holes in his hands, maybe. Spots in his hands.
Yeah. Do you think like maybe him's just like absorb?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. Like,
Mhm.
the fucking
Well, he-
garbage-eating car from...
He
Back
had
to the
gone
Future.
through that period where he had no spots, like he turned in on himself or whatever it was, is what
Yeah.
he figured out. But then at the end, he's mostly black.
Yeah.
You know,
He's
more
all spot.
spots.
With white spots on him. And it seemed like he didn't even have to, like, go through a spot to teleport,
Mhm.
you know?
He just walked through stuff.
Yeah, just like walking through reality.
Yeah. Just like appears anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll find out more, hopefully.
Yeah. All right, that was our ultimate Spider-Verse Redux review. Subscribe to Cape Critiquers if you haven't already, and leave a like underneath this video because it really helps with how it performs in YouTube's algorithm. Next podcast officially kicks off our road to Deadpool and Wolverine we are doing a Deadpool and Wolverine countdown. We will be reviewing pretty much all the important X-Men movies featuring Wolverine. Also going to be doing Deadpool 1 and 2 in a joint episode.
Oh, boy.
And we'll also be taking a look at X-Men Origins Wolverine, The Wolverine, and I think wrapping it up with Logan. So make sure you're tuning into Cape Critiquers for the next couple months as we count down the road to Deadpool and Wolverine. Next episode is X-Men 2000. Bye!
Bye.
I wonder what clip he's going to put.
We are the future, Charles, not them. They no longer matter.
I'm telling Mommy.